You know, partying and getting drunk is really fun until it isn't. Welcome to another episode of Killing It with Chris Davis. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and do me a favor and push the subscribe button and the bell so you'll get notifications for when new content drops. In this video, I'm going to dive into my history with alcohol. And guys, I'm not going to lie, when I was preparing for this, I got a little bit emotional because it brought up feelings and thoughts that I've been blessed to not have to really think about for the last 3.5 years. So hopefully this video will serve as a reminder that you are not alone. If you are dealing with alcohol or drug addiction, you're not alone. So with that, let's go ahead and dive in. I guess I should start by saying that I have a history in my family of alcoholism. Both my grandfathers had issues with alcoholism. My granddad on my dad's side actually died before I was born due to alcoholism. My mother's father dealt with alcoholism for quite a while before he finally got his act together a little bit. And my actual dad has been dealing with drinking problems on and off for basically my entire life. It's just one of those lucky things that I won via the sperm lottery, so yay me, right? I really started drinking in high school, as a lot of people do. For me, I went to 3 different high schools in 3 semesters for a lot of different reasons, mainly because we were poor and we're always kind of running from the rent man. I'm just kidding, well, kinda. But for me, when I did finally wind up landing in Beach High School, just north of Nashville, you know, I was just trying to fit in, and partying and drinking was that perfect in for me. It was a toxic in, but it was an in nonetheless. You know, I didn't think about it when I was a kid. I was just a teenager. So I didn't know about my family history. So I don't know if it would have even mattered at that time anyway, just because I was where I was in my life. I was just here for the turn up, you know. I was just ready to party. And it gave me a place in the world now, albeit a very toxic place, but a place nonetheless. And, you know, fuck it, party. You know, thinking about it, I never drank to mask my pain or to get over some deep trauma, at least like not consciously. I just love to get drunk. And before I knew it, that was like a part of my personality. That was like just a huge part of who I was. I was the party guy. I was always down to you know, go to a kegger or go get some beers, get drunk. Like, it didn't matter. I was always here for it. I wasn't trying to get away from any type of pain. I just really liked to drink. Now that I don't drink, I always find it kind of curious to when people are like, "Oh, you don't like to drink?" I'm like, not don't like to drink. What are you talking about? I'll drink all of you guys under the table right now. Do I not like to drink? I love drinking, and that's the problem. Like, I love it too much. So I had to recognize that in myself. And it didn't stop after I turned 21. Do you think me turning 21 stopped me from drinking? No. I no longer had to deal with my extensive network of enablers. Like, I could just go straight to the store and buy my alcohol myself. So no, turning 21 did not stop me. Graduating from high school and kind of pulling back from that particular scene didn't stop me from drinking at all. If anything, it accelerated it because now I can just go buy it myself. Alcohol was my best friend, albeit an abusive best friend who made me feel like shit and beat the shit out of me and made me have low self-esteem and made me insecure. But he was my best buddy, like, is who I always ran to, whether in good times or bad. Like, it was always there for me. But too much of a good thing is never a good thing. So before I knew it, my tolerance just skyrocketed to about, on average, 20 beers a session of drinking. Like, I could easily drink 20 beers at any given time. Like, it was nothing. Because that's what happens. Your tolerance just builds and builds and builds. And if it's part of your personality, it's just going to build and build and build. And that's what happened. There's a point in alcoholism where you cross the line and you can no longer socially or casually drink. I was always amazed when I'd see people drink 1 or 2 beers and go on about their day or go on with their evening. If I was to drink 1 or 2 beers, oh, it's on. I only drink to get drunk. You know, there's a saying that one beer is never enough and it's way too many. And that was very true for me. Like, I never casually drink. I crossed that line a long time ago. So it went years and years like that. I was always the last one standing at a party. I used to jokingly say, you know, just one more cigarette, just one more beer. I used to joke about it all the time. I mean, I'm not stupid. I knew it wasn't normal or healthy. But when you're in the middle of addiction, drinking becomes compulsive. I was either thinking about planning on drinking, I was either drinking, or I was getting over a hangover. There was never a time where I wasn't thinking about drinking. It was all the time. And like I said, drinking was fun until it wasn't. Um, Alcohol is a depressant, so that's when those dark thoughts kick in. You know, you're a fucking mess. People only want to be around you because you're drunk. Nobody wants to be around you because you're drunk. Like, these thoughts just build up over and over again. I knew it wasn't right, but it was part of my identity. I was boxed in. It was a very dark box that I was boxed into. But alcoholism is a very cunning adversary, because I say to myself, well, I mean, I have a job, I have friends, you know, I got a little bit of money saved up, I have my own place, you know, I'm not that bad. And then next thing you know, I'd be at the store an hour later and I'm drunk. So alcohol is a very cunning adversary. So one night, I'm about 18 beers in with just the worst acid reflux you could ever imagine, because, you know, drinking heavily like that for years and years just eats up your insides. So I'm laying there freaking out because this just hurt so much. I had, like I said, the worst acid reflux ever. So I'm sitting there Googling, you know, AA meetings in Nashville, because something's got to change here. And guys, let me tell you how good my God is. I don't know about your God or what you believe in, but let me tell you how good my God is. I'm Googling, and literally there's an AA meeting not 5 minutes from my apartment. Like, even when I think about that now, I just shake my head. Like, what are the odds of that? So God was definitely looking out for me. It's one of the things that kind of saved my life, and this is how I'll get into that now. Um, so I finally built up my strength, because I went, even though I wanted to stop drinking, it was very difficult for me to actually go to AA, right? That's like a big step. But eventually I built up my strength and I go. There was an 8 o'clock meeting that I went to initially, my very first one, and not a lot of people are at those. So it wound up being just like me and this one other guy. And we sat there and talked for an hour. He just kind of let me know that, you know, you're not the worst drunk ever. You're not alone. It just really gave me hope. Now, what's really funny is I literally never saw that guy again. I don't know if he's like a guardian angel or what, but I never saw him again. But he let a little ray of light in that dark box that I was in. And I'm forever grateful for him to that. Now, I wish I could say I was just instantly cured, but that's not, unfortunately, how it worked. I've relapsed again and again, year after year. But there's a saying in AA, you know, just keep coming back. So that's what I did. I just kept coming back, because I couldn't give up on myself. I knew I wanted to do better, so I just kept coming back. And this is one of the great things in my experience about AA, is every time I came back in, there was zero judgment. Just a hug, welcome back, grab a seat, and just listen or share or do whatever you felt like you needed to do for that meeting. Just sit down and soak it in. It's literally the closest thing to therapy that I've ever experienced. I've never actually been to therapy, but it's the closest experience that I've ever experienced. Now, here's my dirty little AA secret for you. I never actually worked the steps or got a sponsor, but it was something about going there and being in the rooms that was very just affirming and relaxing and calming. It probably would have gone a lot faster if I did get a sponsor and worked the steps as designed, but that's just not how I did it. But there was something very spiritual, not religious, but there was something very spiritual about that place that was just very comforting to me. Um, like I said, they were very non-judgmental, which I really got a lot out of. And over the years, I formed relationships, and this is really the key for, I think, what got me to actually eventually stop drinking, is that I didn't want to let them down. Historically, I've been a very independent person. I kind of always done whatever I've wanted to do. I didn't have an accountability partner or somebody to hold my feet to the fire. Maybe that's one reason I didn't want to get a sponsor, because I've always just wanted to do my own thing. But there was something about those relationships that I built where I didn't want to let them down. I didn't want to get another beginner's chip. I mean, hell, I've already had like 20 of them. Like, I didn't want to get that zero. I didn't want to start from day zero. I didn't want to get another beginner's chip. In my mind, I was always like, fuck this zero. I didn't want to get that zero chip. One thing I will say for AA, for all its seriousness, like most of the time, it was just full of laughter and joy. Like, nobody tells a good story about like an old drunk. Like, nobody tells a good story like an old drunk. So for all its seriousness, it was very cathartic. So the last thing I'll say about AA is that it lets you know that you're not as bad as you think you are, more than likely. However, in AA, there's a saying that there's a lot of yets in life. I hadn't lost my job yet. I haven't lost my place to live yet. I haven't killed anybody yet. I haven't killed myself yet. It's a very sobering thought that if you keep going down, doing what you're doing, odds are you're going to begin to start checking off those yets in your life. And it's just a very sobering thought. So anyway, nothing changes if nothing changes, right? So one day, by the grace of God, I don't know, I decided enough is enough. I'm going to have one big blowout and that's it. That was a Friday. That Saturday, I gathered up my boys and we went kayaking down the Harpeth River here in just outside of Nashville, and we just got hammered on the river. It was a very good time. But by the grace of God, that Sunday, July 24th, 2016, was when I started what has now been my sobriety journey. I have not relapsed in 3.5 years, like I said, by the grace of God. But now, 3.5 years in, I hardly ever think about drinking. I stay on guard against that day zero like my life depends on it, though. Even though I don't think about it constantly, it's always in the back of my mind that, one slip up and you could literally go right back to square one. And that's not one I want to have to deal with. Now, some days are harder than others. I'm not going to sit here and lie, but I guard against it. Slowly but surely, I've been able to be around drinking again. For the longest time, I just cut out going out to places and going to places where I would be weak. And I would very much recommend, if you're struggling with drinking, do not go to bars. Do not go around that friend who's going to trigger you. Just don't do it. And you don't have to explain yourself to anybody. Just say, I'm not going to go there. If you want to explain maybe to one or two people, that's fine, but don't feel like you have to explain your journey to everybody you meet. Like, if you have to just draw a line in the sand and say, I'm not going to do this, and just don't. But like I said, some days are harder than others. I've lost relationships, love relationships. I've lost loved ones to death. I've had great victories in my life. I've gotten jobs, promotions. I've moved on with my life. As you can imagine, I've lived the full gamut of life for 3.5 years, and unfortunately, I haven't had to drink over any of it, and I'm very grateful for that. But slowly but surely, I built up the ability to be around drinkers again. I actually have a side hustle where I designate drive pontoon boats for drunk people. I just kind of drive them around the lake, make sure that they get to where they're going to get to safe. And it actually pays very good. So I've actually figured out a way to monetize my sobriety. My best friend, he drinks. My beautiful girlfriend, who's amazing, she drinks. But I don't drink. I've drawn that line in the sand that no matter what, I'm not going to drink. Now, to be honest with you, it's one day at a time. I don't like to speak in broad, sweeping terms about my sobriety because I'm very much aware that one slip and it can be square one for me. But unless I'm planning on living in a cave, I have to get out and be around drinking because drinking is such a popular part of American society. I don't want to live in a cave. So, like I said, eventually I was able to build up the strength to be around drinking again without myself relapsing. And it wasn't a very easy, short journey, let me assure you, but it was eventually something that I could kind of reemerge into society. I know this video has been a little bit longer than typically I would want to, but I feel like for that person who is struggling with alcoholism, I needed to let you know my journey, that you are not alone. People have gone through the exact same thing that you have. You're not the worst person ever. If I can get sober, trust me, so can you. It's just a journey. It's just something that you have to fight through. You can live a very full and fun life. I know when I was trying to get sober, I was thinking, oh man, how is life going to be not drinking, because life was such a part of, because because drinking was such a part of my life, I couldn't really imagine how I would ever have fun without drinking. I'm here to tell you that you can live a very full and fun life staying sober, and you can do it. So whether it's AA or some other group like Celebrate Recovery or something, plug into that group. Find you a network of sober people who are going through this journey with you that can be your strength when you're weak. Because trust me, you're gonna be weak. But let me tell you, it is very important and very doable because trust me, if you plug in, you can get sober too. So that's it, guys. Like and subscribe. But here's what I really want you to do. I want you to share this video for that person in your life who may be struggling too, who may be going through quietly just a torment of the soul. Because, we don't all blast our addictions and our struggles to people, is a very personal and private thing that addiction is. It can be very touchy subject. Because me finally quitting drinking was a first step in my self-improvement journey, and I've been killing it in life ever since. So until next time, guys, be blessed.